Hi, my name's Rick Bruce. Some of you may know me as the Village Wizard here in Cambria, California. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about community theater, and in particular, By the Sea Productions in Morro Bay. They're a wonderful little community theater that I've had the opportunity to work with on many occasions. They gave me my first directorial opportunity last year with War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells via Orson Welles. And I've had many acting opportunities there, and I know that the community enjoys going to those shows. What you might not know is that all of the ticket price goes to pay to continue to do new shows. The actors aren't paid. The volunteers who are seating you aren't paid. It is literally a labor of love. But the problem is love doesn't pay the bills. And when there are no tickets coming in, there's really nothing much to pay the bills with. This pandemic has hit us all very hard, especially performers. We want to be out there performing for you again. So I'm going to ask you, if you can, if you've got a little money, send something. You might not want to send 20 bucks, send 10 bucks, whatever you can afford that's not too much to the by the sea. And that's going to help ensure that when we get to the other side of this, there's going to be something waiting for us there. So that's all I have to say on that. At the end of this video, there are going to be some instructions on how you can actually go ahead and donate if you haven't already. And if you have, we sure thank you. I would very much like to be on their stage again in the future. Now, I would like to recite a poem for you. Bonus points for anybody who can identify the By the Sea Productions play, which is loosely tied to this poem. As a clue, I was in it and I played a lawyer. Of course, I like playing lawyers, so that's not a huge hint, I don't think. All right, let's go. I'd like to share with you the Ballad of the Harp Weaver by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Son, said my mother, when I was knee-high, you've need of clothes to cover you, and not a rag have I. There's nothing in the house to make a boy breeches, nor shears to cut cloth with, nor thread to pull stitches. There's nothing in the house but a loaf end of rye, and a harp with a woman's head nobody will buy. And she began to cry. That was in the early fall. When came the late fall, son, she said, the sight of you makes your mother's blood crawl. Skinny little shoulder blades sticking through your clothes, and where you'll get a jacket from, God above knows. It's lucky for me, lad, your daddy's in the ground and can't see the way I let his son go round. And she made a queer sound. That was in the late fall. When the winter came, I hadn't a pair of breeches nor a shirt to my name. I couldn't go to school or out of doors to play, and all the other little boys just passed our way. Son, said my mother, come climb into my lap. I'll chafe your little bones while you take a nap. And oh, but we were silly for half an hour or more, me with my long legs dragging on the floor. A rock, rock, rocking to a Mother Goose rhyme. Oh, but we were happy for half an hour's time. But there was I, a great boy. And what would folks say to hear my mother singing me to sleep all day in such a daft way? Men say the winter was bad that year. Fuel was scarce and food was dear. A wind with a wolf's head howled about our door, and we burned up the chairs and sat on the floor. There was nothing left us but a chair we couldn't break and a harp with a woman's head nobody would take for song or pity's sake. The night before Christmas, I cried with the cold. I cried myself to sleep like a 2-year-old. And in the deep night, I felt my mother rise and stare down upon me with love in her eyes. I saw my mother sitting in the one good chair, a light falling on her from I couldn't tell where. Looking 19 and not a day older, and the harp with the woman's head leaned against her shoulder. Her thin fingers moving in the thin, tall strings were weaving wonderful things. Many bright threads from where I couldn't see were running through the harp strings rapidly. A gold thread whistling through my mother's hand. I saw the web grow and the pattern expand. She wove a child's jacket, and when it was done, she set it on the floor and wove another one. She wove a red cloak so regal to see. She's made it for a king's son, I said, and not for me, but I knew it was for me. She wove a pair of breeches quicker than that. She wove a pair of boots and a little cocked hat. She wove a pair of mittens. She wove a little blouse. She wove all night in the still, cold house. She sang as she worked, and the harp strings spoke. Her voice never faltered, and the thread never broke. And when I awoke, there was my mother with the harp against her shoulder, looking 19 and not a day older. A smile about her lips and a light about her head, and her hands in the harp strings, frozen, dead. And piled up beside her and toppling to the skies were the clothes of a king's son, just my size.